First off, I'm Lady Danni and I'm representing Save the Meadows. We're gathered today to call for a ban on artificial turf fields in the city, not only in FDR Park, where we saw the devastating loss of 441 trees, including irreplaceable heritage trees, but also at Vare, Murphy, Kingsessing, recreation centers, and anywhere that the city has used or plans to use synthetic grass. The dangers of this toxic turf have been chronicled locally in the Inquirer and in publications worldwide. Synthetic fields will introduce PFAS or forever chemicals into the ecosystem, increase the extreme heat in a city already suffering from heat island effect, and leach microplastics into our water system. And their 8 to 10 year lifespan refutes the claim that they're a long-lasting, cheaper alternative. The destruction of trees at FDR Park, Cobbs Creek, and other parks in the cities undermines the Philly Tree Plan, which states that the preservation of our existing canopy is the primary goal. It also contradicts the Philadelphia Climate Action Playbook, which recommends using nature as a solution to remove carbon pollution while managing heat and stormwater runoff, and ignores the Philadelphia Tree Canopy Assessment, which found that Philly lost 6% of its tree canopy between 2008 and 2018. Mayor Parker can't continue touting a cleaner, greener city while endorsing the removal of our heritage trees and the destruction of natural green spaces while cheering the creation of plastic poison playing fields. That's not a green agenda, that is greenwashing. We want clean air and water, and we want natural green grass and trees. Recently, on social media, Mayor Parker identified herself as a climate mayor. Well, Mayor Parker, when it comes to making Philadelphia clean and green, you've talked the talk. Now, we're challenging you to walk the walk.
I'm Russel Zerbo with the nonprofit Clean Air Council. Philadelphia Parks and Recreation still has time to make a choice between grass and plastic in FDR Park. Parks and Rec could easily alter its plan to contract with a private artificial turf developer to construct 12 multi-purpose playing fields that haven't even been designed for or contracted yet. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection has also not yet approved Parks and Rec's most recent application to construct 5 of the playing fields, and official permit proposals for the remaining 7 artificial turf playing fields have not even been submitted yet. There is plenty of time to change course and simply choose grass over plastic turf that almost assuredly contains forever chemicals known as per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, or PFAS, which are particularly dangerous for children. Thank you. FDR Park is almost entirely located within the 100-year floodplain, and the park serves a vital function buffering South Philadelphia communities from the waters of the Delaware and Schuylkill rivers. In the currently proposed plan for well over 20 acres of artificial turf playing fields, Parks and Rec has left the exact design of the water drainage system beneath those playing fields to a private turf developer that has not yet been selected. There is almost no chance that any artificial turf developer selected by Parks and Rec will have the experience designing and constructing water drainage systems for a project of this size, located almost entirely within the 100-year floodplain. However, how water will move through the proposed artificial turf playing fields is especially important because this stormwater will not simply discharge to a sewer system or nearby river. The rainwater that lands on the well over 20 acres of proposed artificial turf playing fields will discharge via underground piping to a newly created wetland within FDR Park that itself is intended to offset expansions of impervious surface at the Philadelphia International Airport. Artificial turf field developers have no business designing a drainage system this sensitive. No business. Finally, Parks and Rec has claimed that the goal of this project is to encourage local youth sports. However, countless parks, pools, playgrounds, and recreation centers across the city of Philadelphia deserve the hundreds of millions of dollars currently being spent on the redevelopment of FDR Park. Given the park's isolated location on the edge of South Philadelphia, this cannot be the most efficient use of these funds, particularly if plastic turf that can endanger the health of young children is used in this development. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Stefanie Kroll, Dr. Stefanie Kroll. I'm an environmental scientist. I'm here to oppose the use of turf in the Meadows, in FDR Park, and everywhere in the city. It doesn't make any sense that Philadelphia has won a lawsuit against the producers of PFASs to only then implement them in the places where our most sensitive public will be. Children and older people and families trying to enjoy the outdoors, and instead of being on grass and in nature with trees, to be on toxic plastic turf. PFASs, perf and polyfluoroalkyl substances, are known as forever chemicals because they do not change and alter in a natural environment. Therefore, as soon as they are put down, they will stay where they are and be transmitted to people and to waterways. And they will affect our wildlife as well as people trying to recreate in streams, in grasses, in turf, anywhere around. I agree that the city needs to make better use of this type of funding to really produce change in the park citywide, and not just in a place where it's unclear where the profits from soccer tournaments will go and whom they will benefit. So please stand with us as we oppose the use of PFASs and the changes proposed to the Meadows in FDR Park and citywide. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Fred Stine. I represent the Delaware Riverkeeper. I represent the Delaware Riverkeeper network. Filling of the floodplain at FDR Park and covering it with plastic, artificial turf, sports fields is a bad idea. This isn't some new revelation. This is science and public health facts. Protecting our floodplains help reduce flooding in Philadelphia. Federal government, state governments are spending millions trying to reduce flooding, particularly in South Philly and Eastwick. And here we are clear-cutting trees and filling floodplains. We already know this. This isn't a revelation. Protecting our floodplains helps protect Philadelphia's drinking water supply and the water quality of the Delaware River, where Philadelphians get their drinking water from. We already know this. Protecting our floodplains and all the natural vegetation that grows there helps protect the air we all breathe. We already know this. Protecting our floodplains is critically important at limiting the impacts of global climate change. Again, we already know this. Anyone half paying attention to information coming from the Philadelphia Water Department, from the Office of Sustainability, from the Office of Emergency Management already know this. Anyone reading the scientific research from Drexel, from U of P, from Villanova, and many other universities in the area already know this. Anyone reading the newspaper articles about the impacts of artificial turf and filling floodplains, they already know this. Why is it that Mayor Parker and Councilman Johnson appear not to know this? Making the loss of the floodplain worse for the city's plan is covering it with plastic artificial turf. Children playing on artificial turf exposes them to dangerous chemicals such as PFAS. We already know this. As artificial turf wears out, it contributes to microplastic pollution flowing into the Delaware and out into the Bay and out into the Atlantic Ocean. We already know this. Yes, the city's children need high quality and safe places to play organized sports. No one argues that. But we shouldn't be destroying dozens of acres of woodlands and meadows situated in the floodplains to provide those sports fields. Those woodlands and meadows also provide high quality, safe places to play, and not only for the city's children, but also for their families and our senior citizens too. Many large trees have already been lost, and much of the floodplains have been damaged. But it's not too late to change the direction. The Delaware Riverkeeper Network urges Mayor Park and Councilman Johnson to reduce the footprint, the amount of development in FDR Park from these fields. And we urge you not to use plastic artificial turf to cover them. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Maurice Sampson, and I am the Eastern Pennsylvania Director for Clean Water Action. I want to talk to you for a minute about a very poisonous chemical under the rubric of the name PFAS, of which there are as many as 4,000 different variations. PFAS is probably the single most toxic element that man has ever created. And by created, I mean that. It is a man-made, created element. It's in our Teflon pans. It's in the foam that's in our cushions, in our pillows. It's in virtually every baby product that you can buy. It's in women's feminine products. It's in cosmetics. And yes, it's also in artificial turf. This material was originally developed as a coating on army tanks. It made the shells bounce off of them. But when they invented this stuff, they wanted to figure out how they could sell it more. And the first place they sold it was in Teflon. Teflon is PFAS. That old Teflon pan you have at home is dangerous. It's in your rug, it's in your carpets. And they want to put it it's in the turf too. It has already been condemned by scientists around the world. It's in our drinking water, by the way. It's everywhere. Right now, Clean Water Action has legislation in Harrisburg, House Bill 2238, that would ban the use of PFAS and all these common products, including artificial turf. We already have support for this legislation from over half of all the Democrats in the legislature, and many Republicans too, by the way. Oh, I also forgot to mention, it's in firefighting foam. And it's in our friends that live up in Warminster who have been heavily impacted by this. Now, they used to preach this stuff was so safe that when they would do a test and they would spray this foam, they would let the children play in it. Okay? It is highly toxic. It is toxic in parts per trillion. One eyedropper in a 25,000-gallon pool is enough to poison that whole pool. An eyedropper. I have good news and I have bad news about where we are right now. I got an email yesterday. Well, when they go to buy this artificial turf, they will put out a bid for people to bid on the opportunity to provide that product. I got an email yesterday because I made a suggestion. I said, really, if you're really going to tell me it's not poisonous, then what I want you to do is put in the spec that company, all the bidding companies, have to provide a scientific report that says there is no PFAS in this product, and make them pay for it. Correct. So if the language is in the bid, then we shouldn't see any bids. And if we get a bid, then we have a report that we can look at to say, really? What one of the 4,000 different ones that is in your product? Because one of them is there. This is what is in all waterproofing. Your raincoats, your rain boots, your rubber shoes, anything waterproof has probably got PFAS in it. I'm going to make you all go home now and look around. I am quite sure at what it is I'm living with, because we are exposed to this in such a way that it's just terrifying. The good news and bad news I have to tell you is they put that provision in the bid spec. I got an email yesterday saying, Maurice, we're going to put it in. Now, I wondered why I got it yesterday, but then I realized it's probably because this event is today. So the good news, it's in there. The bad news is I haven't seen the spec yet. So this is only part one of the story. I'm hoping when they see this, they will send me a copy of that spec so I can read what's there. So if that comes through, either we're not going to get any bids, or we're going to get a bid and we're going to have a report, and we're going to have something else to work with. We're going to beat the turf. The turf is not going to happen. The turf is not going to happen. Believe that? The turf is not going to happen. And that's my news today. Let's win this thing.
Hi, my name is Dr. Walter Tsou. I'm speaking today on behalf of Physicians for Social Responsibility in Pennsylvania. I'm the former health commissioner of this great city of Philadelphia and a past president of the American Public Health Association. And so I am very invested in public health issues. Today I want to express my strong recommendation that we not use artificial turf in FDR Park or any park in our city. Of interest to policymakers is the cost of artificial turf, which is between 15 to 20 times that of per square foot to install than that of grass sod. So even if we didn't even talk about PFAS, from an economic perspective, it makes no sense to put in artificial turf. And artificial turf only lasts 8 to 10 years, and it must be constantly maintained and replaced. Its disposal is considered a toxic waste, requiring a special landfill, and it contributes to the problem, as pointed out, for our plastic waste. For far less money, you can install a new grass field every year without all the inherent problems of artificial turf, and you would still save taxpayer money. In fact, you can spend the money on local small businesses who live here in Philadelphia and who can maintain the fields with real grass, which they can handle. Artificial turf has per and polyfluoroalkyl substances, otherwise known as PFAS, a forever chemical which is embedded in the manufacturing to give the fake blades of grass from sticking to each other. There is no way in which you can manufacture artificial turf without PFAS. PFAS, even in low doses, has been associated with a variety of problems according to the CDC, including kidney and testicular cancer, preeclampsia in pregnant women, liver enzyme changes, lower antibody responses to vaccinations, lower birth weight babies, and increased cholesterol. In their July 25th, 2024 article, the Inquirer invited Field Turf, Shore Sports Turf, and Sprint Turf, the 3 artificial turf companies that the city is considering using, and asked them for samples to be tested. Tellingly, none of them responded. I assure you that the City Council does not want to install artificial turf, have parents tested then for PFAS, and then face the prospect of having to rip out the turf over community objections. Equally important in our changing climate, artificial turf is hotter than grass, and there are cases of skin burns and slide injuries from falling on hot turf. And considering that players are stomping all over the field, the combination of PFAS, VOCs, and heat ensures that players will be breathing in these particles from the turf, which is not recommended. Interestingly, Major League Soccer requires only grass for its playing fields. Citizens Bank Park uses Bermuda and Kentucky bluegrass for its field. The NFL Players Association only wants to play on grass. If we want to grow our own Bryce Harper and Jalen Hurts, we should train them on real grass, which is what the professionals use, and what we should be using only here in Philadelphia.
Thank you, everybody. That wraps up our speakers. And now we're going to process into City Council, those of you who have the time, and try to get through security into the meeting, which starts at 10, and address our council members directly. Thank you so much for being here. Please, if you have not already, please call Council Member Kenyatta Johnson, the president. This FDR project where 16 synthetic turf fields are going in is in his district. He has the power to change it. Also the mayor. We have flyers here. If you want any more information, the numbers are there. Thank you all for being here.
3 minutes to speak. However, this time they vary from session to session.
Good morning. My name is Anisa George. I'd like to speak in support of fully funding our schools. I'd also like us to support our children by calling for a ban on artificial turf, which exists and is still being introduced in children's playing spaces across the city, most notably at FDR Park, where 16 fields are being introduced. This turf is toxic, it is hot, it causes more injuries, it is more expensive long term. We should ban it, as the city of Boston has banned it. Also, if we can ban plastic bags, we can ban giant plastic carpets that give kids cancer and poison our waterways. I think the Fairmount Park Conservancy, which should be called Fairmount Park Demolition Crew, has pulled the wool over a lot of people's eyes off the renovation and restoration plans for FDR Park, but we see the devastation that is happening day after day, and we are not fooled. And we are here to say, if you clear cut our life support systems and replace them with cancer-causing turf, it is not renovation, it is annihilation. It is not restoration, it is obliteration. And you can do better than this. You have a incredible plan or a really great plan, but it's not good enough to write it, you have to do it. And we also have to ban artificial turf, which is poisonous for children. Thank you.
Good? Good morning, members of the council. My name is Noah Raven. I am 14 years old, and in addition to supporting school funding, I want to support children by approving the installation of flexible plastic grass in FDR Park. All other chemicals, including no carcinogens, no toxins, and respiratory units. Artificial turf also contains incredibly harmful substances called PFAS, also known as forever chemicals, which can stay in the environment for thousands of years. Numerous studies have used these chemicals to both detect cancer, reproductive harm, and adverse effects on the body and immune system. Research has found toxins in all samples of artificial turf, none safe. An investigation done by the Philadelphia Inquirer last year found that the PFAS may cause early death 6 more years later from a rare form of brain cancer, all played on artificial turf. If this turf is installed, young people like me would be in direct risk, and I urge you to ban it. If the shameful legacy of contaminating our park's clean, green, and toxic-free playing spaces, what the city of Philadelphia wants to leave my generation with, if not, there is no place for artificial turf in FDR Park. Thank you.